I'll say a couple things. The harm reduction thing of like what reduces harm the most. That's obviously my perspective. And then you say like where the Bible brings all that things, but like, man, I can think of like stories right away that make that just wrong. The story of original sin would be where I would start. That story is, in any other context, is barbaric. The flood, the gay marriage perspective.
Hold on.
I can keep going, but specifically,
I want to break each of them down.
We'll break each of them down. But I think we'll start from 3 and then go backwards, actually.
For sure.
Because the gay marriage thing is a perfect example of, to me, what happens when people believe things based on scripture and something that can cause real mental health harm in the world. I mean, you have kids, I guarantee you, in Christian settings right now, who are LGBTQ. They have feelings of attraction to the same sex, and there's nothing wrong with it. But they go to church, they talk to their pastor, and even if you guys don't talk about it much, they know in the back of their head that my religion, my entire community is against this, and against basically me loving who I love, and it causing no harm to anyone else. And to me, that's a pretty solid example of like the Bible not following to the principle of not causing any unnecessary harm. And I don't think you can appeal to anything to defend that that's not based in faith. And this is actually a perfect example of what I'd say is someone basing something in faith that's just, it has no solid evidence. It's just like your feelings. And this is a way that harm is directly caused to the world. When you're telling your kids, whether it's you or another pastor, telling your kids that gay marriage is wrong, you are directly putting LGBTQ youth in a position to severely hurt their mental health to the point where they could unalive themselves. So,
yeah, I would honestly say that about any sin. I wouldn't just talk about homosexual.
But the fact that you just called that a sin right now is what I'm saying is causing harm. You are actively hurting LGBTQ youth by using that term. You're actively causing them to be, on average, more.
Yeah. Why? So why would that cause someone to become more?
Why would that cause someone to? Because
no. Just the statement that it is sin, not the implication. Just the statement that it is sin. Why would that?
Because it is sin means it is negative. It is bad.
There's a lot of things that are negative, though.
Yes, but there are some things. There are some things that people. Hang on. There are some things that people claim to be negative, and there are good reasons you can point to them to be negative. If a Christian comes to me and they say that you should be kind to your neighbor, absolutely. There's nothing negative that comes out of that. It doesn't cause any unnecessary harm to do that. But when you come to me and say, or come to anyone and say, being gay is a sin, or I'm sorry, let me get more specific because I know how this goes sometimes. Acting on your homosexual urges is a sin. When you say that is a sin, you are saying that the act of something that they are naturally born with, that they have an implication of love towards that causes no harm to anyone else, you're saying that's wrong. And what happens is these kids grow up in these communities. They grow up in these communities where they think that's wrong for no good reason. And then they have mental health problems.
I don't think that the statement itself is as strong of an indicator of those tendencies being exasperated to the level that you think.
You don't think that a kid, there's an LGBTQ youth in your group right now, and they hear that, you don't think that is going to increase the chance on top of what you're saying in accumulation with what the church believes? You don't think that's going to increase their mental health bad outcomes?
Hold on. Because to preach a totality of scripture means that you have to preach about sin. You have to talk about sin. It's a part of the worldview that I believe.
Yep.
So for me to tell someone who's in the LGBT community to say the lifestyle that you are living is sin.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the exact same thing about heterosexuals living together, not in a marriage covenant. So would that increase the suicide rate in their life?
Would that increase the
Would-
so of people
they
that
feel more
yeah
with the suicidal ideation be raised because I make a statement about heterosexual relationships?
about how to what's the context? Just that they shouldn't move in together?
That people that relate that marriage is created for one man and one woman.
Yep.
Sexual intercourse is reserved for a covenantal relationship between one man and one woman under the confines of marriage.
Mhm.
So again, you can disagree with that worldview. I'm sure there's lots of people who do.
Yep,
What
I do.
I'm saying is, for sure. What I'm saying is it's very unfair to hold that statement to say that that would increase ideation, because there's lots of statements that we make as Christians that go contrary to the sin nature that people have, that would make them feel uncomfortable.
Okay. I understand
What
that.
I'm saying, I'm not saying that you're necessarily wrong in that. Hey, you got to be conscious of the way that you talk about things. You got to be conscious about the way you say things. But what I won't back down on is saying that I am now responsible, because I preach the totality of Scripture, that I'm now responsible for ideation increasing in people, because there's lots of statements that I can make that can be that can take someone and cause them to feel bad about themselves.
Sure, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I understand what you're
really. So who is really the one that has to take the work upon themselves to like? Should I watch what I'm saying to appease people to make sure that they feel good? Because this is how we ended up in the seeker sensitive movement that has destroyed the church over the last 20 years, because we were scared to preach on these kind of issues and these kind of topics, and people ended up living a certain way thinking that it was okay in the church. There are plenty of things that go against people, right? If somebody is lying or causing drama or gossiping about people, and I say, hey, Scripture says that it is a sin to gossip and to slander and to talk about people, and they walk away feeling worse because I've said that, am I responsible for that? I think that's where I'm having a really tough time. Is
Yeah,
like
sure.
this one, like pointing it directly at pastors and Christians and people in the faith communities, because I think you can communicate that things are sinful or that things are wrong in the view of God and of Scripture and of all of those things in a way that doesn't bring levels of condemnation. Are there people who are holding signs that say God hates fags? Absolutely. Are there people who are protesting dead children who have suffered from those things and have taken their own life? Absolutely. I'm not saying that those people are exempt from that, but I think that you have to also be able to take what those teachings are in their context and understand that we're not saying it out of a place of like trying to pigeonhole people and make them feel bad.
Yes,
And
I
I think
understand.
that even the framework of how you're bringing it comes accusatory, as if ideation among LGBT youth would be completely non-existent if it weren't for the church and pastors talking about it. That's just not true.
Okay, I never even implied anything close to that. All I said was specifically that the telling people that the sin, that LGBTQ activity is a sin, will increase suicide rates. I never said, but your summary of what I said was like that last sentence was totally like a way more general claim than I was making. I was making a very specific claim about a very specific thing.
No. But what I'm saying is, so go back to the last statement.
Yeah.
Last statement that you had was what?
That pastors, Christians, the overall Christian community, telling people in their community that
Yes.
telling children, and probably adults too, but children tend to be more fragile, that acting on homosexual urges is a sin and therefore a bad thing, will, in general, increase suicidality rates. I have data to back this up, but yeah, that's my